So what's the question again, Hart?
So this is coming from someone who doesn't have a house and doesn't have anything of an idea of how to purchase or what it is they want. But I'm looking to purchase the house of my dreams where I want to live. And instead of, purchasing it in San Antonio and then moving into Delaware someplace, I just want to be direct and go straight forward, straight at the house itself. I was curious to know what is the process like
Yeah.
going to start looking into it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna share with you what the process is, and then I'm gonna share with you how COVID impacted that. So before COVID, before, during COVID, and after COVID, the process is it's usually the same, right? So ideally, what the bank wants, the bank that's gonna finance you, if you're gonna put 3% down payment, which is the lowest you could probably go right now, 3.5% is another option, which is called FHA, Federal Housing Administration. It's an insurance. That's the easiest to be able to use, right? FHA 3.5% down payment. You could also do conventional 3% down payment, 5% down payment, or higher. So it's the down payment. The percentage of the down payment is based on the price. So in Santa Cruz, California, there are some properties that are very expensive because it's a beach type community. But the ones that are further out, they could be less expensive, more affordable, right? So whatever the price might be, you could start with 3% down payment, conventional, and higher, whatever amount you could save. But what the bank doesn't really want is that, let's say you put 3% down payment and then you're out of money. They want you to have some reserves, right? They don't want you to make a purchase and then you don't have any money, right? So ideally, you would want to have some reserves, right? So then we have to work on reserves plus down payment. But then the bank wants to make sure that you are employed for the last 24 months in an industry that it's likely to continue to have you employed. Because what COVID created is that it created unpredictability on some industries and created predictability in other industries. And it created an even stronger predictability in other industries. So they went to look at what your industry is, right? So if you're employed like a W-2 employee somewhere, they want to see 2 years stability of employment. And COVID now has really strengthened their uh, how they look at things. They want to make sure they can be employed for the next 24 months during COVID until it's gone or it disappears. So stability of employment and stability coming up to the next 2 years of employment, right? So it's reserves and down payment, stability of employment. Uh, Before COVID, 640 FICO was acceptable. It still is, but with some restrictions, 640, 670, 680. But right now, in order for you to get the best interest rate, really ideally, you want to be at 700 plus FICO. That's the ideal scenario. And when you have good FICO, oftentimes you have a lot of debt. Good FICO oftentimes means that you have the ability to incur debt and be able to pay it back. But having a lot of debt affects you in being able to qualify for a property. So, as an example, let's say you make, let's do low numbers for math purposes. Let's say you make $1,000 a month, but you have a car payment, you have a credit card payment, Home Depot payment, SunMatch credit card, so that you have, with all your payments combined, let's say you have $500 a month going out, and you make 1,000 a month. That means you're at 50% ratio on your debt to your income. So the bank wants to make sure that you're at 45% or less. Personally, when I'm having this conversation with clients, I try to always have clients have no debt. So if you have a lot of student loan debt, credit card debt, car loan debt, whatever it is, I rather we wait and you pay the whole debt off, or at least like pay as much as you can, so you come into a purchase with very little debt. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to hear that and they're not interested. It's more about house. Okay, cool. So, I give my advice and my reasoning why, and then it's up to them to take it or not, right? And if you have everything that just described, and you're 45% debt to income ratio or less, and you qualify for a loan based on FICO, based on your stability of employment, and you still want to move ahead and buy a property, then go ahead. As long as you qualify, it's cool with me. So that's the process, right? And so then how the bank determines all of that, they look at your last 2 years taxes. They look at your last 90 days of bank statements from all types of bank statements, savings accounts, checking accounts, whatever type of account you have, retirement account, so that they could see your reserves, right? And then they look, and then they do what's called VOE, verification of employment, because not only, again, they want to make sure that you're employed and you've been employed for the last 2 years, but they want to see stability of employment for the next 24 months. And then they look at the credit report, because the credit report tells them how much debt you have, what do you owe, and then they calculate based on your income on your taxes, your check stubs versus your debt, and they'll be able to determine the to income ratio. So once they get to that ratio, then they'll tell you, yeah, cool, no problem, you qualify for this much. And then based on that, we start looking at properties. So let's say you qualify for a million, based on everything which is discussed, then we start looking at $1 million property value or less. And then once you find the right one, then you submit an offer, and then that will be once you're there. But to get there, these are the steps to take. Now, there's a couple of differences when you're W-2, because when you're W-2, we have to look at 2 years of employment, right? If you're employed by somebody, you get W-2s, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks or whatever the case might be. But when you're self-employed, you don't have checks like that, right? You don't get W-2s, you get 1099. So then how the bank verifies that you actually have a viable business, they look at your taxes for the last 2 years to ensure that you have an established self-employed business. And so they look at your industry. How is your industry going to be affected for the next 2 years with COVID? And if they find that your industry is good or it's thriving during these times, like many industries are, then yeah, you could be able to get a loan too, as long as your taxes show 2 years of self-employed. So oftentimes what ends up happening is that some people will say, but Carlos, I'm about to change jobs because this company is going to pay me more. Should I wait or should I buy a property now? Okay, so then considering all those rules, that you have to show proof of stability of employment for the last 2 years. So if you change jobs because you got a better pay, you should be able to qualify, right? But if you change industries, you no longer qualify because we don't know what kind of stability that new career is going to be. So the only objection to that, or the only caveat to that, is that if you're a plumber that makes $20 an hour and you go get a new job and another plumbing company that pays you $30 an hour, so it makes sense. You're upgrading within the same industry. You're not changing careers. But if you're a plumber and you're gonna go get paid more as an electrician, then that's where you get disqualified because that's an entirely new career that you haven't proven yourself for the last 2 years and much less employment stability. You see, so that's something to look at, right? So yeah, 2 years of the same line of work, you show proof by your taxes when you file your taxes.
Got it.
So yeah, that's how that works.
Got it. Thank you. Um, and my next question is, like, what about a completely different scenario for somebody? Say they won the lottery, and they just all of a sudden have this chunk of change and they want to buy a house, they want to buy a property. What would that person have to do in order to obviously find the property that's for sale that,
Right.
or they could build one, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if you've ever encountered that as a really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a lot of clients that are able to buy cash. It doesn't. I've never had anybody who's won the lotto, but I've had investors
Sure.
developers, investors, or business owners who've made huge businesses who bought property from all over the world.
Sure.
So I've had clients who bought property cash here from China, from South America, from Mexico, from the East Coast, from the West Coast, from everywhere. So if I have a property for sale, or if there's a property for sale anywhere, there's usually two, three, five, 10 buyers. COVID has created to have 10 to 12 buyers for every one property that comes up in the market. And some of them are cash buyers. So if you happen to win the
I'm,
lottery,
I'm sure that was versus, so 10 to 12 versus how many was it before COVID?
before COVID was the market was very competitive at 3 to 4 up to 5 buyers for every
Okay.
one property.
Wow. Wow.
The
So 10 to
ratio
12.
the ratio was already off before COVID, and when COVID hit, less properties hit the market because people they don't want to show the property, they don't want to be exposed. So a lot of people didn't hit the market in springtime like we normally do, right? But our business, the real estate business, is really there's business year round. Year round, somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to sell, but the big percentage of our business happens between March and July or August. So people hit the market for selling in March and April, hoping to be done by the end of the summer. Because people that buy homes in their summer also, they don't want to they don't want to have to move anymore because kids went back to school. You know, people are already established, the time change, the holidays, and so it's more active between March and August. But because of COVID, so before COVID, we had 4 buyers for every one property that hit the market. So it was sort of competitive, but you could still be able to get a property. When COVID hit, less properties became available because less people put up their homes for sale, and the ones that they were already up for sale took it off the market too. So then now we have 7, 8, 10 buyers for every one property. But then in May, June, July, they lower the interest rates back from 5% down to 3%. So then now those people who are still employed during COVID, who have all the guidelines that you shared with you and being able to buy a property, suddenly with the lower interest rate, instead of qualifying for 500,000, now you qualify for 700,000 for the same monthly payment. So you qualify for more because the interest rate is lower. But then that created huge demand. So now we have 14, 16, 20, up to 20 buyers for every one property. So it's very tight. It's very competitive right now. So buyers right now, I have been working with 3 buyers right now, and this is the conversation I have with them initially. You have to be able to compete. You have to be able to be willing to compete. Go out, look at property, and if you get outbid it, like most of us are getting outbid it, we're all going through that. Then you have to be able to not stop and go the next day when next available property comes up. Go look at it. You don't like it, pass. You like it, submit an offer, and we have to compete because it's very competitive. If you're not willing to do that, then it may not work. And I've had a couple of buyers who say, you know what, Carlos, I'll take a break from looking at properties until next year sometime, until everything gets more cools off a little bit. But what ends up happening, Hart, is that with this demand, when there's high demand in any product, values go up on those products. So then now homes are like over the roof, overpriced, so because of the high demand that is being created, so nevertheless, it's what it is. We have to deal with it, right? So you just have to be able to compete and be willing to compete. But going back to the previous question, so I have a lot of buyers. I have specifically 3 clients that buy cash. So if I see a deal that they're looking for, then I can just tell them, and then, oh yeah, couldn't problem, let's write up an offer and buy all cash. You can.
Yeah.
We don't verify any of that. You just cannot bring actual cash. It has to be wired from your bank to the seller's escrow bank. But it
Uh,
cannot be actual cash.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's a lot of it. Wow.
But it's
Shoot.
easier when you buy cash, Hart, because when you buy cash, there's no loan, there's no
Right.
appraisal, there's none of that. No warrant. Like when you're buying a property, you're financing. Ultimately, the bank is making all the decisions for you. You're really not in control because
Right. Right.
somebody's issuing you a loan and have to make sure it's worth it, and then the insurance and all that. When you're buying cash, all that disappears, and it's more cost effective because the bank charges you to issue you a loan, and so here there's no loan, so it's even cheaper. And then when you buy cash, not in this market, but generally speaking, outside of COVID market, you could get a better deal when you're buying cash, but not right now. That doesn't apply right now. It's too competitive for that.
Wow. So it sounds like banks are qualifying people for more money, like $700,000. I think you said $300 to $700,000. That movement, that's awesome. And then they look at that 700,000. They're like, well, the prices of the houses have actually increased. There's not really much I could do with this anymore. It's like the ends justify the means, or it just seems so displaced that, you know, you get this big win of financing qualifying from the bank, and then you look at the pricing of the housing market itself. It's just that the prices have increased, so you're really not able to afford much more than you could prior to that interest rate increase.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So look, if you were to do, as an example, I'd have to do what the numbers look like. But let's say, as an example, 500,000 gets you a $2,600 payment, right? As an example, right? That's not an exact number. So then now with lower, that's at 5% interest rate. But if you lower it at 3%, you automatically qualify for a higher price point. Automatically, which means you get a bigger, better home, potentially better community for the same monthly payment. So it's got its huge benefits.
Okay.
You know, you just pay a higher price point, but it's affordable because of the lower interest rate. So I think it's got, COVID has created some good things to the market, but unfortunately, you know, people are getting outbidded, you know. So I have a client right now that's gotten outbidded 6 times. You know, we're looking at property, he likes it, hey, let's write up on this one. And keep in mind that it's not like we're under submitting or anything. So for example, in this particular client, he qualifies for 650. He qualifies for 750, but he wanted to stay at 650 because of the price point. This is when in March, April, and May. And so then we submitted offer at 640 in one property, and the property sold for 680. All cash, no inspections, no loans, no nothing. So we didn't have a chance, even though he's putting 20% down. But then they lowered the interest rate in May. That happened a couple of times. And then in May, June, July, they lowered the interest rate multiple times. So we went from like 4.9, 5.1 down to 3, 2.8, 2.9, 3, 3.1. So lowering 2 points enabled my client to actually go full qualifying amount, which it was 750. But even at 700, 720, 690, we go submit an offer $20,000 above asking price, and somebody comes in with 40 or 50,000 above asking price. And remember, my client has got all the qualifying, you know, criteria, and he's putting 20% down payment. You see, and so we're still getting outbidded. And so he's already gotten outbidded 6 times, I think 6 times now. And it's what it is. We just have to deal with it. You know, it's what it is. We just gotta keep trying, you know?
So that means you're also competing with other real estate agents?
Exactly. So one property goes up for sale, and there's 10 agents with their client looking at the same property. And so we all go look at it, and then somebody's going to get it, and 9 others are not. And then those 9 left over, next property comes out for sale in that community, and we all go look at it. But in that interim, another agent or 2 or 3 comes up with a new buyer of their own. So now we have 10, 12, 14 buyers and their agents looking at the same property, and only one could get it, right? So you can't sell it to multiple people.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. But see, look, here's one thing that you didn't ask this, but oftentimes it's like the common denominator, right? So this is what I get. For 16 years, this is what I got on the most. Is this the right time to buy a property? Because I've had some people tell me, hey, Carlos, I heard on YouTube or social media, don't buy a property, you got to wait because the market is crazy, right? Because everything that's just shared. So they asked me, you think I should wait, right? This applies to both buyer and sellers. Should I sell now? Should I wait? Should I buy now? Should I wait? People should consider buying a home when they're ready, regardless of what the market's doing. If you're looking to sell a house, you should consider selling whenever you're ready to sell, regardless of what the market's doing. So right now it's a great seller's market, because if you bought your property for $400,000 6 years ago, it should have sold for $550, but now it could sell for $600. So it's a good seller's market, right? You can net more money, but it doesn't mean you're ready to sell. You know, what if you're not going to retire for another 5 years and you don't want to move right now, right? Conversely, you don't want to buy right now necessarily, or you don't want to sell right now. But if somebody passes away and now you're sort of forced to sell because there's debt or whatever, so you see now you're kind of have to sell, whether you feel like it or not. So that creates being ready to sell. So people should consider selling when they're ready to sell, and people should consider buying a house when they're ready to buy, regardless what the market's doing.
Yeah, that's good advice. So, would you say that you're speaking for the seller's market in California per se, or are you saying that it's a seller's market across the nation?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've had a few agents, friends of mine, who've asked me that, and they tell me, "Well, your opinion seems based in California, but I'm in connection." So let's say you're going to buy in Santa Cruz, right? Santa Cruz is not my market, right? I could sell anywhere in California, but it's not my market. I wouldn't do a disservice to you by trying to represent you in Santa Cruz. The service for me as friends that I could do for you would be find you the right qualified experienced agent in Santa Cruz, and then
Uh-huh.
have him represent you there, right? That's what I do with a lot of clients, and because of that, I belong to a association with about 2,300, 2,500 agents across the nation, and another association with another 3,000 agents across the nation, and now we're in communication with each other through events and masterminding groups, and across the board is the same. There are some markets that are a little different, like New York, for example. It's a little bit different. There's a lot of vacancies, and so sellers are struggling because there's not collecting rent. But that doesn't stop properties from selling. Properties are selling aggressively. Now, an agent from New York would probably be able to provide a better assessment than I would, but I am in communication with some friends of mine from New York, New Jersey, all those, they call them bureaus. In California, I call them counties. So here in any county in Southern California, San Diego, Riverside, LA, Orange County, Kern County, Santa Barbara County, all those counties, there's like a super sellers, hot sellers market. So I think it's across the board because of the interest rate nationwide. And look, the lowering the interest rate in such a fashion, it was really designed for the purpose to stimulate the economy. So, in stimulating the economy like that, it creates a lot of sales, and properties are the highest priced item anybody's is going to buy at any given time. You could buy a $300,000 Bentley, but they don't sell as many as 300, 500, 600, $700,000 homes throughout the country. And so then that tax revenue generated, it's very important to maintain any economy. And so what the government did, in my opinion, they lowered the interest rates during this whole COVID process to continue to entice people to buy, and therefore stimulate the economy because everything was shut down. So I think across the board is like that, but we could definitely get together with a couple agent friends of mine in different areas and ask their perspective of their market. But for California, Southern California particularly, it's a hot seller's market for sure. It's like
Mm,
that.
mm. And just thank you for that. Offshoot question, kind of, but how do you vet your clients and ensure that you're not involving yourself in a poor weather business affair of some sort? What is it you?
Yeah. Yeah. So look, it's a great question, Hart. In 16 years, you learn to, it's like if I show up, you're a musician, right? And it's like if I show up, hey dude, let's play a gig together. I'm a good drummer.
Oh,
And I start playing a little bit, you're
oh
gonna know how off I am, right? How crazy I am.
God,
I
can
don't
I
I don't
show you what I've been through? Can I
know.
show you?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Show you this video. I want to post it just so you understand how important it is for a drummer who says they're a drummer to be a drummer.
That's
And
right.
in my opinion, just so you're aware, Carlos, that means that you have a distinct ear for listening to who you're playing with. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you, as the drummer, create your beat. You're
Right.
listening to whoever it
Right.
is that's trying to
Yeah.
identify the song for
Well,
people.
same with us, Hart. Same with us, right? So, like, you
So
could
you're
tell
the
right away somebody
drummer.
who's not serious. And I've had a lot of those. I've had a lot of, not a lot, but I've had plenty enough to be able to recognize that either they're trying to do something they shouldn't, they're trying to, and look, I have to be honest with you, a very small percentage of actual real estate agents actually do these. A very small percentage. Overall, the community is very good, but small percentage, they also participate in things like that. I've had clients like that. I could share an example. I was representing a seller. It was a commercial client. Commercial client means they're selling commercial property or somebody who has a lot of properties that they need to liquidate. So I was representing a commercial client that gave me maybe in a span of 2.5 years, maybe about 30 properties to sell. And so in one of those instances, a local agent and a family member of her, two agents, they're family members, they're trying to represent a buyer on one of my properties. And what they were doing, this is illegal in California. I don't know about any other state. They had a buyer they represent a buyer on the property, and at the same time they were doing what's called flipping. They're doing what's called a double escrow. They were trying to. You could do that if you get a good deal. You could buy the property, you close, you're the owner. Now you could do whatever you want with it. If you could sell it for more, then that's fine. But you can't do it at the same time on two escrows. That's what's illegal. So what they're doing, they were representing a buyer, an investor who was buying the property, a supposed investor, my property, my client's property, and then at the same time they had another escrow as if they're already the owner of the property, and they're trying to sell it to somebody else. And I didn't know. And how I found out is that one buyer called me instead of calling his agent. Hey, I've been trying to get a hold of my agent, and I don't know what's going on with escrow. And oh wow, so it's a double escrow. So yeah, I got my client involved, and so we canceled. But see, a small percentage of agents do that. Very small percentage, but they do participate in those illicit stuff. And so then some clients that do that, they're always looking for agents who are willing to do that. And when you have experience, you could tell that's what they're doing. So I don't engage in any of that,
Wow.
So I could tell is the answer, I guess, to answer your question. Overall,
Right.
Yeah, but I've seen some crazy things. Hart, like last year, there was a big scam going on where somebody was selling the property at a discount, and then they took about 120 offers. So remember, it was a discount, right? So a lot of investors come out of nowhere and they buy these properties, right? So the property is worth 550, they're asking 300. And so then a lot of people submitted offers, and then what they were doing, because when you're a buyer, you have to give a deposit, right, to open escrow to get your offer accepted. And so they were pressing people to give, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 deposit. But what they were doing, they were accepting everybody's offers, and they didn't even have a contract to sell the property that they were selling, that they were marketing. The seller wasn't even aware that his property was up for sale. Somebody just took an address, put it up for sale at a discount, took all these offers, and people gave their deposit and they ran with it. So it was a big, big scandal, big mess. And once every 5 years, a big scam comes up like that. So we just have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of that, right? So if it's too good to be true, it's not, that's like a life's wisdom.
Right. Wow. That's terrifying, man.
It
That's
is.
I can't even imagine. So thank you so much again for your time and answering those questions. I've kind of brought up a little bit about a kind of a discussion that what this is not. Okay.
What is it?
This is not me wanting to buy a home right now. This is just, inquiry and
Sure.
truly amazed by your level of expertise and what it is you do. I really appreciate that, and your genuine commitment to others' welfare. And when buying a home, it's a serious thing. You need somebody who's very assertive, a very awoken and compassionate and concerned individuals are able to speak with people. I admire that, really do. So thank you. I just getting back to the other side of the conversation. If you want to cut, edit, whatever you got to do with that.
That's fine. Let's go with that. What is it? What is that? First, thank you. Thank you for your words. I greatly appreciate that. I really do. Thank you really for for saying kind words like that. I really appreciate that, man.
Sincere. I mean, it's just like how I experienced my life in front of the stage is or even behind a computer screen like this, and versus a video. We're talking a lot pre-recorded video, right, of a performance I did. It would be a challenge for me to, get that kind of honest insight and sharing from the audience, an audience member,
Cool.
to be willing to share that with me, or even like to press a like button and hit the subscribe button.
For sure. Thank you.
You
Thank
gotta
you for the
have
reminder.
your continuous call to action, for people
Absolutely.
just don't want to move. They don't want to do anything. They want to stare and gape as if you are the baboon, the monkey behind this wall here. You can't hear. There's no, like, I relish it. This one movie identified it perfectly. There was this movie about sale. I can't remember what the title of the movie was, but it was about salespeople and how they are called into these meetings by prospective buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And prospective buyers, excuse me, not perspective. Prospective buyers are just staring at them, asking all the right questions as though they were going to buy, as though they were thinking about buying, but then not actually, be there for that reason, but actually to slow you down, to stop you from your progress. And as a salesperson myself, I would say that, having a strong call to action in the face of other people at all times, because of the distractions, the number of distractions that are formidably against us at all times of the day, whether it's picking up your daughter from school or having to engage in a real estate appointment. It's just a lot of different, varying on the spectrum kind of distractions from your main goal, your main focus for the day. So I'm curious, what is it you do to maintain your focus? I mean, what are you finding that's working for your attention?
Yeah, that's a great question. May have a lot of great questions, Hart. That's great. So look, for me, one thing I learned a long time ago. So a long time ago, I learned to draw my schedule, and I tried digital. I tried those like daily planners, and I tried all that, and digital didn't work for me. So for me, for example, I learned a long time ago that every morning I just got to look at my schedule is and just go down the schedule, go down the list, and then just put a check mark on it. Now, over time, I learned that sometimes you would miss that because you wake up late, because you're rushing, because something happened. My daughter's school called, because the client is in crisis, because of something. And so then it takes
Yeah.
me off schedule. And
Yeah.
so I learned to embrace the concept of the day begins the night before. So every night, I don't use a daily planner. I use a regular. I'll show you real quick. My regular something to write on, a regular book, regular notebook. And here I write out on a blank sheet of paper. I just write out my schedule. This is what I need to do. 4:25 in the morning. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7, all the way till 9 o'clock. It goes on the right side. And then till 9 o'clock at night. And here on the bottom, I write down the must-dos. And so then I fill in my schedule every day at night. And then I just put a check mark on it as I get it done. And then that's what allows me to just keep going and go.
First, you do must-dos first in the day. Like somebody told me, I think it might have been Tony Robbins, who said, do the thing that's you least want to do
True.
in the first.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I agree. I agree with that concept. So I got that concept too, right? So something to consider for me that's made a difference is to attack the things I don't want to do necessarily, or the things that are a bigger issue or a bigger struggle, things that are bigger things, right, that we need to handle. But we deem being appropriate, right? Because sometimes you can't call a client at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And so then my schedule starts at 4:25 in the morning. And so then as I see appropriate, so I put it on my calendar, talk to client Hart, let's say, and then I put it on there. And then if it's something that is a must do, then it has to be addressed right then. And I put it within the appropriate time. But that goes along with my current clients, right? My current clients that are currently in escrow. I have a checklist for that. And so the idea is that I'm creating my own schedule as a checklist format. And then I just put a check mark on it, just like I would with a client, with a current client that is currently in escrow. But then built into that is where you put your musts. Because if it's a must, if it's something that it's a must do, but you're not able to do it until 5 o'clock, then you can't attack it in the morning. So you know what I mean. So then you just have to create your schedule based on what things that have to happen, and then you prioritize around that. That's my how I focus. Because otherwise, if I rely on my brain, I forget, and then I don't get things done. I can't. I experience that digitally, right? So I love Outlook for email and calendar and all that. But I put it digitally, but I still forget, even though you have notifications and reminders. And right now we have iPhones, so I have it. I have things on my schedule in Outlook, but not in my daily routine. Only things that are appropriate to the day, And so because I was digital, it doesn't work for me. It might work for other people, but it just doesn't work for me. So I have to write it out. Before I start, I just do it in the morning when I wake up, but it wouldn't work. So I embraced the day before. The day begins the day before, the night before. So at night, I just got to write out my schedule, what I need to do, and boom, just get up and start doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
That includes like talking to you, talking to clients, talking to whatever it is that I need to do, generate new business. Right now during COVID, like I made it a priority to talk to friends and family. So just to see it, make sure they're cool. Because a lot of people are struggling, not financially, some are, but a lot of people are struggling mindset wise. Some people are getting stressed, some people are getting depressed, some people don't believe in COVID, some people don't think it's real, some think it's fake. You know what I mean? So I just want to check in with people, so that's being part of my schedule.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I would agree with you on the friends and family front that the mindset matters to me, and I'm privy to those notions as well. And this is an unprecedented time, and something that I learned as a business entrepreneur is that these unprecedented times are oftentimes the best to explore for growth and making things happen in
Yeah.
a clearer way than you could ever imagine. And
Yeah.
it's scary. It is frightening to just
Yeah.
stand up for yourself, for your life, and your future in the face of it all of this smack and stuff that's going to happen, and getting the ball rolling and really cracking the whip and showing people, demonstrating to others that it's possible. And it is truly that leadership capacity that you got, and you're already rolling with it. So applause,
Thank
applause,
you.
applause.
Thank you, Hart. You're
No,
too kind to me, man. You just like me too much, dude.
I know. People have spoken to me and told me about how what is it? Hyperbole kind of ethic that I contain in the way that I speak, and one of the things that I carried with me in how I speak from Landmark is that you speak with something truthful that resonates with people. And so while it sounds like hyperbolic statements, it's not. It's truth, and it's something that people can identify with as being them. Just
Yeah.
as there's so much evil and suffering in this world that people could also identify with.
Yeah.
That's obvious. It's truth. That
Yeah.
people are dying, and people are needy, and people are all of these things, right?
Right.
There's
Right. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
truth. People could see it. Why is it that a person can see that so much more readily? I don't know. I don't know the answer why people can see that so much more readily than they can the good in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really link up with people on that positive ding hyperbolic statement, hyperbole, and excuse me, I'm calling it a hyperbolic statement, which could be confused with geometric figure. It just, I think it means more to your character, your own self worth, and in caring for other people's mental states
Yeah.
and welfare. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you all night. I know you've given me so much time, almost an hour. And
That's cool. That's cool, man. Can I add something to what you just said? Because it's
yeah,
critical. It's important in my life. So I've trained some rookie real estate agents. Uh, and last week, 2 weeks ago, or something, I have this kid who just joined our office, our team, and we're having a conversation about these. And throughout my career, I've had a lot of agents that have come and asked me for my opinion on a file, let's say, and so the common denominator answer was always, sometimes I just was coming and say, hey, Curtis, what think of this? So I'm having this problem. And without them having to explain to me what the problem is, I would say, look, I already know the answer to that. But wait, I haven't said what the problem is. I said, no, I get it. Whatever it is that you're facing right now, you have to do what's best for the client. Yeah, but you haven't heard what I have to say. I got it. The answer is always going to be, we have to do what's best for the client. And so in how I experience that, I've had a lot of buyers and sellers who come to me and they tell me, Curtis, I'd like to buy a property. Just because you'd like to, and you might be ready, sometimes it's not necessarily the right time, right? So it could be conflicting to my previous statement, because if you're ready, you're ready, but it could be detrimental, right? So let's say, for example, you make $120,000 a year and you're at 40% debt to income ratio, to your employment history, you have everything. So you're ready and you're qualified. Cool, let's get you in. But I also know that if something breaks down in the house, you have too much debt and you're not going to be able to fix it necessarily. You have to incur more debt. And having much more debt, it gets stressful and it puts a stress on the relationship, on marriage, or whatever the relationship might be. And so then at the end, you end up losing the house and end up losing the marriage. And so then having considered that, we had to do what's best for the clients. Conversely, I've had sellers who have come to me and they said, Curtis, I need to sell my house right away because I need to bail my son out. Let's say that would be one example. I said, what do you mean? Do you want to sell your house or not? No, I don't want to sell. I just need to bail him out. Okay, cool. Let's explore a different option. But see, that just costed me $20,000 in commissions, right? In doing the right thing, right? Because I didn't gain that money. I did what's right for her, and I'd helped her figure out how to get money out of the property and bail their son out, and not have to sell the property because she didn't want to sell. But see, that client over the last 10 years has given me probably about 6 or 7 referrals. You know what I mean? So then that $20,000 I lost that I didn't gain turned into a lifetime ambassador, if you will, endorser, of me and my business. And so they've given me a lot of referrals. And then each one of those clients, it's also referred me to their sons or their parents or their sisters or coworkers. So we have to do what's best for people at all times. I mean, it's not my wisdom, right? It's biblical. It's in any wisdom book, you probably find that too. So, something to look at, something to consider.
yeah.
So, but thank you. Thank you for asking that. I appreciate that.
I got hooked up in that because it was a client that I was helping out in lowering the cost, the price point of my services, and she just couldn't afford them. And then it was like, maybe this is an LA thing. Maybe this is, I'm just charging people way too much because out here the prices for their service is not what I get it. Okay, I'll lower the price. So I lowered the price, thinking, maybe. I'm throwing her a bone, and then she said, "No, I can't do that either." And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do. I really tried even more. So I shredded the price down even further to the point where I was like paying for gas, literally. Like this is gas and a lunch, maybe, and it's not really making an indent in my welfare and the service that I'm providing, like the level
Right.
of quality, all of the stuff that I'm engineering and creating and planning for them. It just didn't compare in the level of hours that it just wasn't worthwhile for me. And then, like
Yeah.
at that point, you're kind of sitting duck. You're just like, do I take on the needs of the client and suck up my ego and just do it for free? Because at this point, I might as well just do it for pro bono And it got to me, man. It got to me that I couldn't do it for pro bono. In a way, I was kind of landmarky. I was like standing my ground, like
Hmm.
this is what it is, and
Yeah.
I will not draw. Like I am not hopping this. But on hindsight, and reflecting, I wish I would have.
Yeah.
I really wish I would have hopped that ego that I said, like this is already too much because there's that frightened
Right.
fear, stress, and this is all ego
Right.
talking. This is
Hmm.
all mess of the head and
Yeah.
whatever was going on with me. So,
Yeah.
hindsight, if that is
Well,
going to add to what you're saying is actually is do what's right for the client, do
yeah,
what's
we
right.
always have to do what's right for the client, Heart. But see, I'm gonna share one point that I got from real, because in real estate we have coaches too, coaching for real estate on how to run your business and how to grow your business. And one of my coaches used to say, so like for example, I just closed a property with a client of mine, and he loves to drink coffee every day in the morning, and he makes it old school, right? He heats water like old school, right? And instant coffee. So when we closed, uh, so I got paid, right? So I like to give back, right? Allowing me the opportunity to represent him, but also it's allowing me to earn my income, which allows me to, provide for my family. And so what I did? I went on Amazon and I ordered it's like a coffee maker that you put little cups and you just put water and they makes your coffee. So I made it more convenient for him. And where he lives, he gathers with the sons and the sons' wives and the grandkids. They gather almost every other Sunday for a meal or whatever because the mom passed away a couple years back, and so then now everybody gathers there, and so now he has coffee for everybody instead of instant coffee individually. And I bought him a big coffee maker, and then with the like 6 boxes of those different flavors of those little cups for coffee. You see, so it's important to give back considering that what's doing what's best for the client always. However, it's important to give back to those clients that are also giving and consider not giving to takers. Because I've also had a lot of takers. They just want free, 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 free. And it doesn't work, right? I don't mind giving back, but I like to give to givers, something to consider.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually invited that same person to my birthday this past year, and they came in with a huge, it was a buffet of cheeses, like
Wow, look at that.
I didn't it was over the top, over the moon, and for me, I'm not really a cheese aficionado. Like MS and cheese don't really mesh together.
I get that. Yeah. Cheese don't mess with me either, man. I get it. I get it. Sorry, I
Um,
get it.
but I wanted to try it anyway, and it was truly, these were boutique cheeses. These were like high. I'm like, well, huh. I get stuck in that thought trap. I'm going off. Anyway, so this has been a good hour, solid hour of your time.
Yeah.
Carlos. Like really appreciate it. I just want to leave you with this. This is my value added component because you give me so much value on this conversation. Okay, it's just a simple exercise. I didn't make it up. Okay, in case you ever read health and wellness book, this is the one you got to get. It's called The Healer Within. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Send me the link, maybe if you could text it to me, and I'll put it in the link of the video here too, in case somebody's interested too. Right? I'll give you credit too.
I thank you. I'm coming out with my next book. If in case you're wondering, it's called The Fight. Oh, sorry. Uh, Fit for Happiness. That's the title. I think I'm using.
Oh,
Fit
sounds
for
interesting.
Happiness. So yeah, it,
Yeah.
it's it's been the past 10 well since 2013 is really when I started writing it. So
That's
it's been
amazing.
a time for me to just get involved in the writing aspect, the writing element, since there are such a tremendous abundance of people who are looking for the answers and looking for clues and looking for those kinds of tidbits and keys that have, benefited me from falling
Yeah.
on my face so many times and heartfelt ways. I just want to leave with this. Okay, so here it is. It's just an exercise from that book that I just showed you.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
sign of relief. Okay, it's just a ah. Really, let it go. Let it go, Carlos.
Sounds like yoga, dude.
Ah.
Hot yoga. Ah, that's pretty good. Ah, oh, it's
I
amazing,
do
man.
that all throughout the day, and that is
Yeah,
your skill to keep you your momentum going, and really keep you elevated throughout.
that's
Truly,
amazing. We do that in hot yoga. In hot yoga, Hart.
yeah, it's relief in all
Yeah,
forms, in yoga, especially. I'm sure it'll be useful there too. So,
yeah.
read Carlos is your
I
friend,
will. I
right?
promise. I will. Send me
Thank
the
you.
link. Send me the link. Send me the
I
title, please, because
I
I
don't
already
know
forgotten that.
exactly the link, but
Okay, okay. Show me the book again. I'll look at
I'll send you the name of the title so you could check it out.
Healer Within. Okay, got it. I'll find the link and I put it. The Healer Within. Perfect. Yeah. I won't forget now.
I
Perfect. Dude,
don't,
thank you for sharing, man. Thank you for listening, man. Thank you for being so cool, dude. Really appreciate you, Hart. I wish I could see you, man. But at least we have video, dude. So maybe we should see each other once a month or something, dude, at least, right? So
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
reach out anytime, man. All right,
Thank you.
brother. Get connected, man. Take care, brother.